Zara had never felt so alone in her life. As her escape pod crash-landed in a remote forest on Earth, she felt a jarring impact that left her dazed and disoriented. The once sleek and advanced pod, designed for emergencies, was now a crumpled heap of metal and technology, barely recognizable from its original form. She struggled to unbuckle herself from the safety harness, her slender fingers trembling with both fear and exhaustion. Stepping out of the wreckage, Zara was immediately struck by the strangeness of her surroundings. The forest was dense and teeming with life, but it was unlike anything she had ever seen on Xylara. The trees were colossal, their leaves of vibrant green that seemed to pulse with life, contrasting sharply with the muted hues of her home planet's flora. The air was thick with the scent of earth and vegetation, far different from the crisp, sterile atmosphere she was used to. Zara's appearance was starkly different from that of the native inhabitants of Earth. Her skin was a smooth, luminescent blue, shimmering slightly under the sunlight filtering through the canopy. Her hair, a cascade of silver strands, glinted like metal as it caught the light. Her eyes, large and expressive, were a deep, mesmerizing violet, reflecting the wonder and fear she felt. She took cautious steps, her boots sinking slightly into the soft, moss-covered ground. Every sound seemed amplified, the rustling of leaves, the distant call of unfamiliar animals, the trickle of a nearby stream. Each noise made her heart race, her senses overwhelmed by the newness and intensity of it all. Zara had no food, no communication device, and no knowledge of how to survive on this strange planet. Her stomach growled loudly, reminding her of her desperate need for sustenance. She had been traveling for days before the crash, and now, with her supplies lost, she felt a gnawing hunger that added to her growing sense of despair. Determined to find something to eat, she began to explore the forest, her eyes scanning for anything that resembled the edible plants from her world. She quickly realized that nothing looked familiar. The plants were all foreign, their shapes and colors alien to her. She tried to remember the survival training she had received back home, but it seemed futile in this new environment. As night fell, Zara found herself growing cold and weary. The temperature dropped significantly, and she had no shelter or warm clothing to protect her from the chill. She wrapped her arms around herself, shivering as she searched for a place to rest. She eventually found a large tree with roots that formed a small, sheltered nook. Curling up in the space, she tried to make herself as comfortable as possible, but sleep was elusive. Her mind raced with thoughts of home, her family, and the slim chances of being rescued. She woke up several times during the night, startled by the sounds of nocturnal creatures. Each time, her heart pounded with fear, but she reminded herself that she had to stay strong. She couldn't afford to let her guard down, not when survival depended on her wits and resilience. As dawn broke, Zara felt a renewed sense of determination. She couldn't allow herself to be defeated by this unfamiliar world. She needed to find food, water, and, most importantly, a way to signal for help. Rising from her makeshift bed, she set out once more, her resolve hardening with each step. Her journey through the forest continued, filled with moments of awe and terror. She marveled at the beauty of the place, the way sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground, the vibrant colors of flowers she had never seen before, and the fascinating creatures that scurried away at her approach. But she also faced countless challenges. Thorns scratched her skin, leaving faint blue marks. She stumbled over roots and rocks, each fall a painful reminder of her vulnerability. Days passed in a blur of hunger and exhaustion. Zara's hope began to wane, but she pushed on, driven by the primal urge to survive. She drank from clear streams, hoping the water was safe, and nibbled cautiously on berries and leaves, praying they weren't poisonous. Her once immaculate appearance became haggard, her clothes torn and dirty, her silver hair matted and tangled. Despite everything, Zara refused to give up. She clung to the hope that somehow, some way, she would find a way to survive and perhaps even find a way back home. Little did she know that her life was about to change dramatically, and her loneliness would soon be challenged by an unexpected encounter. After days of wandering through the dense forest, Zara's strength was waning. Hunger gnawed at her insides, and exhaustion weighed heavily on her every step. The initial shock of being stranded on Earth had given way to a grim determination to survive. She had been following a narrow, winding path that seemed to lead towards a clearing. The trees began to thin out, and she could see glimpses of what appeared to be human structures in the distance. Zara's heart raced with a mix of hope and trepidation. She had observed the humans from afar, noting their different appearances and behaviors. They seemed similar to her species in many ways, yet so distinctly different. As she approached the edge of the forest, she crouched behind a large bush, carefully observing the small town before her. The town was quaint and peaceful, with small houses lined up along a main street. People moved about, engaging in various activities. Children played, adults chatted and went about their chores. Zara's eyes were drawn to a building that seemed to be a gathering place. The sign above the door read "Diner" in bold letters. Through the large windows, she could see people eating and talking. The sight of food made her stomach clench painfully. As night fell, Zara's desperation grew. She waited until the town quieted down, and then, under the cover of darkness, she crept towards the diner. She felt exposed and vulnerable, but the need for food overpowered her fear. She reached the back of the building, where large metal bins stood. Zara wrinkled her nose at the strong smell emanating from the dumpsters but knew she had no choice. She lifted the lid of one of the bins and peered inside. Amidst the garbage, she spotted remnants of food, half-eaten sandwiches, discarded vegetables, and other scraps. Her mouth watered as she carefully picked out the least spoiled items. Just as she was about to take a bite, a voice startled her. "Hey, what are you doing back there?" Zara froze, her heart pounding. She turned to see a young man standing a few feet away, holding a trash bag. His eyes widened as he took in her appearance. Her blue skin, silver hair, and tattered clothing. For a moment, they stared at each other, both unsure of what to do next. The young man, Alex, was initially shocked by Zara's alien features but quickly realized that she was in desperate need of help. His instinct to assist others kicked in, and he slowly approached her, speaking in a calm and soothing voice. "Hey, it's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. Are you hungry?" Zara nodded hesitantly, her violet eyes filled with a mixture of fear and hope. Alex set the trash bag down and reached into his pocket, pulling out a granola bar. He unwrapped it and handed it to her. Zara took it cautiously, sniffing it before taking a tentative bite. The sweetness and texture were unfamiliar but pleasant, and she quickly devoured the rest. "Come on," Alex said gently. "You can't stay out here. You need a proper meal and a place to rest." Zara hesitated, her survival instincts clashing with her desperate need for help. But something in Alex's demeanor reassured her. She followed him into the diner through the back door, avoiding the curious glances of the few late-night patrons still inside. In the kitchen, Alex prepared a simple meal for her: a sandwich, some fruit, and a glass of water. Zara ate ravenously, grateful for the sustenance. As she ate, Alex watched her with curiosity and concern. He wanted to ask her so many questions but knew that she needed to feel safe first. When Zara finished eating, Alex led her to his small apartment above the diner. The space was modest but warm and welcoming. He offered her a place to sleep on the couch and some clean clothes. Zara accepted gratefully, her exhaustion finally catching up with her. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice melodic and strange to Alex's ears. "You're welcome," he replied with a smile. "Get some rest. We'll figure things out in the morning." As Zara lay down on the couch, she felt a mixture of relief and uncertainty. She had found a temporary refuge, but she knew her journey was far from over. Her thoughts drifted to her home planet, Xylara, and the slim hope of returning there someday. But for now, she had to focus on surviving in this strange new world. The next morning, Zara woke to the sound of birds chirping outside the window. Sunlight streamed into the room, casting a warm glow on everything. She sat up, feeling more rested than she had in days. Alex was already up, bustling around the kitchen. "Good morning," he greeted her with a friendly smile. "I made breakfast." I hope you like eggs and toast. Zara nodded, her stomach growling in response. As they ate, they communicated through a mix of gestures, broken sentences, and the occasional use of Alex's phone to translate words. Slowly but surely, they began to understand each other. Alex was fascinated by Zara's stories of Xylara. She described a world where technology and nature coexisted in harmony, where cities floated in the sky, and where her people lived in peace. In return, Alex told her about Earth, its diverse cultures, and the challenges humanity faced. Despite the language barrier and the vast differences between their worlds, Zara and Alex found a connection. They shared laughter and stories, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. Zara felt a glimmer of hope for the first time since her arrival on Earth. She wasn't alone anymore, and with Alex by her side, she believed they could find a way to overcome any obstacle. Over the next few weeks, Zara and Alex's bond deepened. Zara slowly adapted to life on Earth, thanks to Alex's patient guidance. He taught her about human customs, the nuances of language, and even introduced her to various foods. Zara, in turn, shared the wonders of Xylara, describing its floating cities, bioluminescent forests, and advanced technology that harmonized with nature. Every morning, Alex would find Zara already awake, meditating by the window as the first light of dawn touched her silver hair, turning it into a cascade of shimmering light. He admired her resilience and curiosity, and she found solace in his steady presence and unwavering kindness. One afternoon, Alex decided to take Zara on a tour of the town. He wanted her to experience more of human life and hoped it would help her feel less isolated. They walked through the bustling streets, visited the local market, and even stopped by a park where children played and laughed. Zara was fascinated by everything. She marveled at the variety of foods in the market, the vibrant colors of the fruits and vegetables, and the friendly interactions between the vendors and customers. At the park, she watched the children with a mixture of joy and sadness, reminded of the carefree days of her own childhood on Xylara. As they sat on a bench, enjoying the warm afternoon sun, Zara turned to Alex, her violet eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," she said softly, her English improving every day. "You have shown me so much kindness." Alex smiled, his brown eyes warm and reassuring. "You're welcome, Zara. I'm glad you're here. You've taught me a lot too. I never imagined meeting someone from another planet, let alone becoming friends with them." Zara's heart swelled at his words. She had felt so alone and lost when she first arrived, but Alex had given her hope and companionship. She found herself wanting to learn more about him, his dreams, and his life. One evening, as they sat on Alex's porch, the sky ablaze with the colors of sunset, Zara shared more about Xylara. She described the advanced technology that allowed her people to harness renewable energy, the education system that encouraged creativity and exploration, and the communal living that fostered a deep sense of unity and cooperation. Alex listened intently, captivated by her stories. "It sounds like a wonderful place," he said. "I wish Earth could be more like Xylara." Zara sighed, a hint of sadness in her eyes. "It is a beautiful place, but it is also my home. I fear I may never return." Alex reached out and gently squeezed her hand. "We'll find a way, Zara. Promise. There has to be a way to contact your people or find someone who can help." Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of approaching footsteps. Alex's neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, walked up the steps, a friendly smile on her face. She was an elderly woman with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor. "Good evening, Alex," she said, then turned to Zara. "And who is this lovely young lady?" Zara hesitated, unsure of how to explain herself. Alex quickly stepped in. "Mrs. Thompson, this is Zara. She's a friend visiting from far away." Mrs. Thompson's eyes twinkled with curiosity. "Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Zara. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask. Alex here is a good boy. He'll take care of you." Zara smiled and nodded, grateful for the woman's kindness. As Mrs. Thompson walked away, Zara turned to Alex, a question burning in her mind. "What if people find out who I really am? Will they be afraid?" Alex thought for a moment. Some might be afraid, but others, like Mrs. Thompson, would accept you just as you are. We'll be careful, Zara. We'll take it one step at a time. As days turned into weeks, Zara and Alex's lives settled into a comfortable routine. They worked together at the diner where Zara learned to cook and serve food. Her presence intrigued the regulars, who found her exotic appearance fascinating. Alex explained that she was from a distant country, which seemed to satisfy their curiosity. One night, after closing the diner, Alex and Zara sat in the dimly lit kitchen, sharing a meal. Zara's thoughts were heavy with the uncertainty of her future. Alex, do you think I'll ever find a way back to Xylara? Alex looked at her, his expression serious. I don't know, Zara, but I do know that we'll keep trying. There has to be someone out there who can help us. Zara nodded, her resolve strengthening. She had come to trust Alex completely, and his optimism gave her hope. Thank you, Alex, for everything. He smiled, a warm and genuine smile that made her feel safe. We'll figure it out, Zara. Together. Their bond grew stronger with each passing day. They shared their fears and dreams, their laughter and tears. Zara found herself feeling more at home on Earth, thanks to Alex's unwavering support and friendship. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the stars, Zara turned to Alex, her voice filled with emotion. Alex, if I ever do find a way back to Xylara, I want you to come with me. I want you to see my world. Alex was taken aback, but he could see the sincerity in her eyes. I'd like that, Zara. But for now, let's focus on finding a way to contact your people. Zara nodded, her heart filled with a renewed sense of hope. She wasn't alone anymore. With Alex by her side, she felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would find a way, no matter how difficult the journey. As Zara and Alex's bond deepened, their lives began to stabilize. Zara continued to learn about Earth's customs, gradually becoming more proficient in English and familiar with human behaviors. Her days were filled with work at the diner, learning new recipes, and interacting with the regular customers, who had grown fond of the mysterious yet kind-hearted foreign girl. However, their peaceful life was about to be disrupted. Unbeknownst to them, the government had received reports of strange occurrences in the small town. An investigation team had been dispatched to look into the rumors of an alien presence. The team consisted of agents from a secretive government agency, known for their ruthless efficiency in dealing with extraterrestrial threats. One evening, after a long day at the diner, Alex and Zara were relaxing on the porch, enjoying the cool night air. Zara looked up at the stars, her thoughts drifting to Xylara. I wonder if they're looking for me, she mused softly. Alex squeezed her hand reassuringly. They have to be. We'll find a way to reach them, Zara. I promise. Just as he finished speaking, a noise from the street caught their attention. A black van had pulled up, and several men in dark suits stepped out, moving with purpose towards Alex's apartment. Alex's heart skipped a beat as he recognized the telltale signs of a covert operation. Zara, we have to go. Now, he whispered urgently, pulling her to her feet. Zara's eyes widened in fear, but she nodded, trusting Alex implicitly. They slipped out the back door and into the alley, their footsteps barely audible. Alex led Zara through a series of narrow streets and hidden paths, his mind racing with escape plans. They eventually found refuge in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. The building was dark and musty, but it offered a temporary haven. Alex barricaded the door as best he could and turned to Zara, who was visibly shaken. Who are they? She asked, her voice trembling. They're from a government agency that deals with extraterrestrial threats, Alex explained. They must have found out about you somehow. We need to stay hidden until we figure out our next move. Zara nodded, trying to steady her breathing. The warehouse was cold and unwelcoming, but she knew they had no choice. They settled into a corner, using some old crates as makeshift seats. Alex pulled out his phone, trying to contact anyone who might help. Hours passed, and the tension in the warehouse was palpable. Zara leaned against Alex, drawing comfort from his presence. Despite the dire circumstances, she felt a glimmer of hope. They had escaped the initial threat, and as long as they were together, they had a chance. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the sound of footsteps outside. Alex and Zara tensed, listening intently. The footsteps grew louder, and then the door was forced open. Several agents stormed in, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. "Stay behind me," Alex whispered, positioning himself protectively in front of Zara. One of the agents stepped forward, his gun trained on Alex. "We know you're harboring an alien. Surrender now, and we'll go easy on you." Alex's mind raced. He had to buy time, think of a way out. "She's not a threat," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "She's just trying to survive." The agent smirked. "That's not for you to decide. Step aside, or we'll take you both in by force." Before Alex could respond, Zara stepped forward, her hands raised. "Please don't hurt him. I'll come with you."
No, Zara.
Alex protested, but she shook her head, her eyes pleading. "I can't let them hurt you, Alex," she said softly. The agents moved to apprehend Zara, but at that moment, she used her alien abilities to create a blinding flash of light. The agents were momentarily disoriented, giving Alex and Zara a chance to escape through a side door. They ran through the dark streets, their breaths coming in ragged gasps. Alex's heart pounded with fear and adrenaline. They needed to find a more secure hiding place, somewhere the agents wouldn't think to look. As they fled, they stumbled upon an old friend of Alex's, a rogue scientist named Dr. Evelyn Harper. Evelyn had a reputation for unconventional research and a deep mistrust of government agencies. Alex explained their situation, and Evelyn, intrigued by the prospect of meeting an alien, agreed to help. Evelyn's lab was hidden beneath an old library, accessible only through a series of concealed passages. Once inside, she quickly set to work analyzing Zara's physiology and devising a plan to send a distress signal to Xylara. "We need to create a high-frequency signal that can reach your home planet," Evelyn explained, her eyes alight with excitement. "It'll take time, but I think we can do it." As they worked, the threat of the government agents loomed ever closer. The agents, undeterred by their initial failure, intensified their search. It was only a matter of time before they discovered Evelyn's lab. The night the signal was ready, the tension was palpable. Zara and Alex stood by, watching as Evelyn calibrated the equipment. Just as she activated the signal, the door to the lab burst open, and the agents stormed in. "Step away from the equipment," the lead agent barked, his gun aimed at Evelyn. Chaotic battle ensued. Zara used her abilities to create distractions, while Alex and Evelyn tried to protect the equipment. Despite their best efforts, the agents began to overpower them. Just as all seemed lost, the equipment emitted a bright light, signaling that the distress call had been sent. Moments later, a portal opened, and a rescue team from Xylara emerged, their advanced technology quickly neutralizing the agents. Zara's eyes filled with tears of relief and joy as she saw her people. They approached her, offering comfort and reassurance. But her gaze was fixed on Alex, who stood by, watching with a mixture of relief and sorrow. The Xylara team quickly assessed the situation, ensuring Zara's safety. One of them, a tall figure with an air of authority, turned to Alex. "Thank you for protecting her," he said. "We owe you a great debt." Alex nodded, his emotions swirling. He was happy Zara was safe, but knew this meant saying goodbye. Zara approached him, her eyes shimmering with tears. "I have to go, Alex, but I'll never forget you. Thank you for everything." Alex smiled, though his heart ached. "Take care, Zara. I'll miss you." As the Xylara team prepared to leave, Zara looked back one last time, her heart heavy with gratitude and sorrow. She stepped through the portal, disappearing in a flash of light. The agents, now subdued and disoriented, were left behind, their mission a failure. Alex and Evelyn stood in the now quiet lab, their minds reeling from the night's events. "Do you think she'll be okay?" Alex asked softly. Evelyn placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "She's with her people now. She'll be safe." As Alex left the lab, he felt a mix of emotions. Relief that Zara was safe, sadness at her departure, and hope that maybe, One day, their paths would cross again. The night sky was clear, and as Alex looked up at the stars, he felt a connection to Zara, knowing she was out there somewhere. Their journey together had ended, but the bond they shared would remain forever. The atmosphere in Dr. Evelyn Harper's lab was electric with tension. Zara, Alex, and Evelyn had just managed to send the distress signal to Xylara, but the arrival of the government agents had turned their haven into a battleground. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning electronics and the muffled shouts of commands. Zara stood in the center of the chaos, her eyes glowing with determination. She had to protect Alex and ensure the signal was sent. Drawing on her alien abilities, she conjured another blinding flash of light, momentarily disorienting the agents. "Alex, get Evelyn to safety," she shouted, her voice ringing with urgency. Alex grabbed Evelyn's arm and pulled her behind a large console, taking cover as bullets ricocheted off metal surfaces. "We need to hold them off until the rescue team arrives," he panted, glancing at Zara, who was already in motion. Zara darted through the lab, using her agility and speed to outmaneuver the agents. She knocked over shelves and equipment to create obstacles, buying them precious time. But the agents were relentless, their training and numbers giving them an advantage. Evelyn, despite her fear, managed to recalibrate the signal booster, amplifying the distress call. "It's working," she whispered, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. "The signal is strong enough now. They'll come." The agents regrouped, their leader barking orders. "Neutralize the alien. Secure the civilians." The team moved with military precision, converging on Zara's position. Just as they were about to reach her, the air around them shimmered, and a portal began to form in the center of the lab. The light from the portal was blinding, and a high-pitched hum filled the room, causing everyone to cover their ears. Zara's heart leapt with hope as she saw the familiar shapes of Xylara's rescue team emerging from the portal. The rescue team, clad in advanced armor and wielding energy weapons, quickly assessed the situation. Their leader, a tall figure with an authoritative presence, shouted commands in a language Zara had longed to hear. They moved swiftly, neutralizing the agents with non-lethal force, their energy weapons emitting blue pulses that incapacitated the humans without causing permanent harm. Alex watched in awe as the Xylara team took control. He felt a surge of relief, knowing Zara would finally be safe. The leader of the rescue team approached Zara, their eyes meeting with a mixture of relief and recognition. "Zara, we've been searching for you. Are you all right?" Zara nodded, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for coming." The leader turned to Alex, his expression serious but grateful. "You have our deepest thanks for protecting her. We owe you a great debt." Before Alex could respond, the agents began to recover, struggling against their restraints. The leader of the Xylara team glanced at them with disdain. "We need to leave. Now." Zara turned to Alex, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and sorrow. "Alex, I have to go, but I'll never forget you. Thank you for everything." Alex's throat tightened, but he managed to smile. "Take care, Zara. You'll always have a friend here." The Xylara team activated a secondary portal, preparing to depart. Just as Zara stepped towards it, one of the agents broke free and lunged at her, a desperate attempt to capture her. Alex reacted instinctively, throwing himself between the agent and Zara. The two men grappled, the agent's strength overpowering Alex. Zara's heart raced with fear for Alex. Summoning all her energy, she used her abilities to create a force field around him, pushing the agent back and away. The effort left her drained, but she couldn't let Alex be hurt because of her. The leader of the rescue team quickly subdued the agent, ensuring no further threats. Zara, exhausted but determined, turned to Alex one last time. "Goodbye, Alex. Be safe." Alex watched as Zara stepped through the portal, the bright light enveloping her. The portal closed behind the rescue team, leaving the lab in a stunned silence. The agents, now restrained and subdued, were left with no choice but to surrender. Evelyn emerged from behind the console, her face pale but resolute. "That was incredible," she murmured, her eyes wide with amazement. Alex nodded, his mind reeling from the events. He felt a deep sense of loss but also a profound relief knowing Zara was safe. He turned to Evelyn, his voice firm. "We need to make sure this never happens again. They can't know about Zara or the rescue." Evelyn agreed, and together they began to dismantle the equipment, erasing any trace of the distress signal and the portal. The government agents were taken into custody, their mission a failure, and their memories of the event were to be erased by a special unit. As the night gave way to dawn, Alex stood outside the now-empty lab, looking up at the stars. He felt a deep connection to Zara, knowing she was out there somewhere, safe and with her people. The journey they had shared was over, but the bond they had formed would remain forever. With a heavy heart but a renewed sense of purpose, Alex walked back to his apartment. He knew life would never be the same, but he was grateful for the time he had spent with Zara. As he reached his doorstep, he paused and looked up at the sky once more, whispering a silent farewell to his alien friend. As dawn broke over the small town, the first light of day cast a serene glow over the streets. Alex, physically exhausted but emotionally overwhelmed, stood outside the now-empty lab, contemplating the whirlwind of events that had transpired. The memory of Zara's departure was fresh in his mind, her last words echoing in his ears. He took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions within him. The government agents were being taken away, their memories soon to be wiped by a special unit designed for such situations. Alex watched as they were loaded into unmarked vehicles, their mission a failure and their knowledge of Zara to be erased. It was a small comfort, knowing that at least for now, Zara's secret would be safe. Dr. Evelyn Harper approached Alex, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and determination. "Alex, we did what we had to. Zara is safe now thanks to you. You should be proud." Alex nodded, though the weight of Zara's absence was heavy on his heart. "I just hope she makes it home all right," he said, his voice tinged with melancholy. Evelyn gave him a reassuring smile. "She's with her people now. She'll be okay. And who knows? Maybe someday you'll see her again." Alex appreciated the sentiment, even though he knew the likelihood was slim. With a final glance at the scene around them, he and Evelyn began the walk back to town. The streets were quiet, the early morning stillness a stark contrast to the chaos of the night. As Alex entered his apartment, the familiar surroundings felt strangely foreign. The space that had once been filled with Zara's presence now felt empty and silent. He looked around, memories flooding back. Zara's fascination with human objects, her laughter as she learned new things, her serene meditations by the window. Feeling a wave of nostalgia, Alex sat down on the couch where Zara had often slept. He picked up a small notebook she had used to practice her English, flipping through the pages filled with her neat, meticulous handwriting. A soft smile touched his lips as he read her attempts at humor and the little notes she had made about Earth's peculiarities. Over the next few days, Alex tried to return to his normal routine. He went back to work at the diner, interacted with the regulars, and kept himself busy with daily tasks. But Zara's absence was a constant presence, a lingering ache that wouldn't fade. The customers noticed a change in him, sensing the weight of his unspoken sorrow. One evening, as he was closing up the diner, Alex found himself standing at the edge of the forest where he had first met Zara. The memories of that night were vivid, her desperation, their tentative connection, and the beginning of an extraordinary friendship. He stood there for a long time, staring into the trees, lost in thought. As he turned to leave, a flash of light in the sky caught his attention. He looked up, his heart skipping a beat. It was a meteor shower, the night sky ablaze with streaks of light. Alex watched in awe, a sense of wonder and peace washing over him. He felt a connection to Zara, knowing that somewhere out there, she might be seeing the same stars. Weeks turned into months, and life gradually returned to a semblance of normalcy. Alex found solace in his work and the company of friends, but the memory of Zara remained a constant, comforting presence. He continued to learn about Xylara, reading about astronomy and alien life, hoping to one day understand more about the world Zara had come from. One night, as Alex sat on his porch, gazing up at the stars, His phone buzzed with a notification. It was a message from an unknown number. He opened it, his heart pounding with curiosity and hope. The message contained a single photo, a breathtaking image of Zara, standing on a platform surrounded by the floating cities of Xylara. She was smiling, her eyes bright with joy. Beneath the photo was a single word, soon. Alex stared at the photo, his heart swelling with emotion. Zara had found a way to contact him, to let him know she was safe and that their story wasn't over. He felt a surge of hope and excitement, the possibility of seeing her again filling him with renewed purpose. As he looked up at the stars, a smile spread across his face. The journey they had shared had changed him in profound ways, and he knew that no matter what the future held, Zara would always be a part of his life. The bond they had forged was unbreakable, transcending the vast distances between their worlds. The night was filled with possibilities, and as Alex sat there, he felt a deep sense of peace. He whispered a silent promise to Zara, knowing she could somehow hear him. Until we meet again. With that, Alex rose from the porch and went back inside, his heart lighter and his spirit filled with hope. The future was uncertain, but he was ready to face it, knowing that somewhere out there, Zara was looking up at the same stars, thinking of him. Their story was far from over, and as Alex drifted off to sleep that night, he dreamed of the day they would reunite, ready to embark on new adventures together. Months passed since Zara's departure, and while Alex had returned to his routine, the memories of their time together remained vivid. The small town continued its daily rhythms, but Alex's perspective had been forever altered by his extraordinary encounter. He often found himself lost in thought, reminiscing about the times he shared with Zara and wondering about her well-being. One crisp autumn morning, Alex received an unexpected visitor at the diner. It was Dr. Evelyn Harper, looking more animated than usual. She had a twinkle in her eye and a sense of urgency in her step. "Alex, we need to talk," she said, her voice barely containing her excitement. Alex led her to a quiet corner of the diner, curiosity piqued. "What's going on, Evelyn?" Evelyn leaned in, lowering her voice. "I've been working on something ever since Zara left. I couldn't stop thinking about how to bridge the gap between our worlds. I've developed a new communication device, one that can potentially reach Xylara without drawing unwanted attention." Alex's eyes widened in surprise and hope. "You mean we could talk to Zara again?" Evelyn nodded. "Exactly. It's a prototype, but I believe it can work. I need your help to test it." Without hesitation, Alex agreed. That evening, they met at Evelyn's lab. The space was filled with advanced technology, and at the center of it all was the new communication device. It was a sleek, compact unit with an interface that displayed various symbols and frequencies. Evelyn explained the workings of the device, her enthusiasm contagious. "This device uses a combination of quantum entanglement and enhanced signal boosters. It should be able to send and receive messages across the vast distance to Xylara." Alex nodded, his heart racing with anticipation. He carefully entered the codes Evelyn provided, initiating the first transmission. The device emitted a soft hum, and the screen flickered with light. They waited in silence, the seconds stretching into what felt like hours. Then, the device emitted a series of beeps, and a message appeared on the screen. It was in Xylara's language, but thanks to the translation software Evelyn had integrated, it quickly converted to English. "Alex, is that you? It's Zara." Alex's heart soared. He quickly typed a response, his fingers trembling with excitement. "Zara, it's me. We've missed you. Are you okay?" Moments later, Zara's reply came through. "I'm safe, Alex. I've missed you too. There's so much to tell you." The floodgates opened, and they exchanged messages back and forth, sharing updates and reliving memories. Zara described her journey back to Xylara, the joy of reuniting with her family, and her efforts to convince her people to establish a more formal connection with Earth. As their conversation continued, Zara revealed something that made Alex's heart skip a beat. "There's a possibility that we might be able to open a stable portal between our worlds. It will take time and cooperation from both sides, but it's within reach." Alex couldn't contain his excitement. That's incredible, Zara. Imagine what we could learn from each other. The prospect of a stable connection between Earth and Xylara was thrilling. It promised new opportunities, the exchange of knowledge, and the possibility of reuniting with Zara in person. Alex felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that their efforts could pave the way for a better future. Over the following weeks, Alex and Zara continued to communicate regularly, their bond growing stronger with each message. They shared details of their daily lives, their hopes, and their dreams. The distance between their worlds seemed to shrink with each conversation. One evening, as Alex sat on his porch under a starlit sky, he received a message from Zara that filled him with hope and excitement. Alex, the Council on Xylara has agreed to pursue the Portal project. They're sending a delegation to Earth to begin the collaboration. I'll be among them. Alex's heart raced. You're coming back? Yes, Alex. I'll see you soon. The anticipation of Zara's return filled Alex with joy. He could hardly believe that soon they would be reunited, and this time they wouldn't have to say goodbye. He shared the news with Evelyn, who was equally thrilled and immediately began preparations for the arrival of the Xylara delegation. As the day of the delegation's arrival approached, the town buzzed with curiosity and excitement. Alex, Evelyn, and a select group of trusted individuals prepared to welcome their extraterrestrial visitors, ensuring everything was ready for the historic event. Finally, the day arrived. A shimmering portal opened in a secluded area outside the town, and one by one, the Xylara delegation stepped through. They were greeted with awe and respect, their presence marking the beginning of a new chapter in interplanetary relations. Alex stood at the forefront, his eyes scanning the group until he saw her. Zara, looking radiant and confident, walked towards him with a smile that mirrored his own. As they embraced, the world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the joy of their reunion. "Welcome back, Zara," Alex whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "It's good to be back, Alex," Zara replied, her eyes shimmering with happiness. As the Xylara delegation and the people of Earth began their collaboration, Alex and Zara knew that they were part of something extraordinary. Their journey had brought them together against all odds, and now, they stood at the threshold of a new era of discovery and friendship. The story of Alex and Zara was far from over. Together, they faced the future with hope and determination, ready to explore the endless possibilities that lay ahead. Their bond, forged in the trials and triumphs of their journey, would guide them as they continued to build a bridge between their worlds. And as they looked up at the night sky, filled with stars and endless possibilities, they knew that their adventure had only just begun.